And some automotive news for you. Ford is recalling more than 312,000 vehicles, including the popular F-150 pickup, over a brake defect that could raise the risk of crashing. For what drivers need to know, we welcome Paul Fakes, automotive journalist with Car Coach Reports, for analysis. Paul, for viewers who may not be familiar with the technical details, can you explain what this electronic brake booster defect is and why it's potentially dangerous in a real-world driving scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. We're talking about 312,000 vehicles in the United States here, and they're all trucks. That'd be the F-150, the Bronco, Expedition, Ranger, and the Lincoln Navigator. They all have this electronic booster system. So if you remember the really old cars, they used to have fully hydraulic booster systems for your brakes. You put your foot on the brake and there's an actuator that helps you brake better. Very simple technology. And they've moved over to an electronic system. You put your foot on the brake, the hydraulic activates, and then there's an electronic system that recognizes what's going on and then gives you an electronic boost, a little assist to make sure that your braking is both smooth and effective. Well, seeing as it's electronic, it's having an electronic issue. The sensor is essentially malfunctioning, and it's not in every single vehicle. But the way that a lot of these recalls work is that there's enough issues that are noticed by the company, and to get ahead of it, they put out a recall to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association and say, let's bring all these vehicles in to the dealership, or now they're doing over-the-air updates, which is the case for this one. And they're going to try to fix the problem. So essentially what's going to happen is if you put your foot on the brake and you own one of these vehicles and you happen to have a malfunction, again, 312,000 vehicles are going to be recalled, but that doesn't mean that your vehicle is affected. However, you should definitely make sure that you get this recall done regardless. So you put your foot on the brake, and you'll feel your foot go down further. It could feel spongy. You might not get the brake feel that you expect. There's also a note from Ford saying that your dashboard could light up like a Christmas tree and start giving you all sorts of warnings and notifications. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But at your first available opportunity, if you have a 2025 model Ford F-150, Bronco, Expedition, Ranger, or Lincoln Navigator, call your dealership. There's also, again, over-the-air updates, which you can have that set automatically, or again, go to your dealership. So there's definitely something to be concerned about, but not something to immediately worry about. Just something to pay attention to while you're driving.
Well, Paul, safety first. Absolutely. Got to make sure that that's covered. Now, as we mentioned, the recall affects over 300,000 vehicles. Mostly the Ford F-150 pickup. How significant is that number in terms of the impact on Ford customers and the industry as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. Ford is having a little bit of an issue, starting with the Ford F-150, which has been the best-selling vehicle for 42 years and was only dethroned last year by the Toyota RAV4. So there are a lot of F-150s on the road. And of course, they share parts with a lot of other vehicles in the Ford lineup, in the Ford family lineup. But because there's so many of these vehicles, it really does cause some concerns for just how many are on the road. Ford has had quite a number of recalls this year. In fact, a record-breaking amount of recalls, 850,000 vehicles. It's their 94th recall of 2025, and we're only 2/3 of the year in. So I think that Ford is having a little bit of a quality control issue going on in their factories, which, might make you question whether or not the next vehicle you buy could be a Ford. And I think that this could be affecting some consumer confidence in the brand, especially as they're trying to pivot and keep up with the market right now. They're not particularly strong, except for the F-150 and Mustang, which have always been incredibly well selling for them. Definitely just make sure that you're well informed before you're buying a vehicle, but don't let this scare you away from buying a Ford, because there's actually a lot of vehicles from a lot of different companies that have recalls every year. This is actually kind of normal, and the fact that they're getting after this particular problem with 37 issues and 1 crash, they've gotten after this issue very, very quickly and hoping to solve it so that more incidences don't happen. But again, do keep very close eye on how your vehicle is feeling as you're driving it. And if you feel like there's a problem, bring it to a dealership. Don't be afraid to talk to the service department and see if there actually is something wrong with your vehicle. And you can also check with them if your vehicle's included in this recall too.
Yeah, be proactive. Very good advice. Now, as we mentioned, Ford's offering an over-the-air software update to fix the issue. How reliable are software fixes compared to replacing physical components in a recall like this?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we don't have long-term data on exactly how good these over-the-air updates are, because there can always be an issue with, you're updating your laptop, you're updating your phone, something breaks, the function breaks of some sort. It's possible. There was an issue with Ford Broncos last year where if you got us over-the-air software update, it actually broke the engine. It mixed the air and the fuel incorrectly, and the engine ended up putting itself just into a state where it wasn't usable and had to be completely replaced. I actually know some people that had to have that happen. So there is a potential downfall to these over-air updates, but generally speaking, so much of the car is electronic these days. You could have a dozen computers in your vehicle that operate all sorts of different functions. And the over-the-air update is a very easy and affordable way to make sure that your vehicle is working correctly. And I should note that for the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, if you need to have an over-the-air update, if you're Ford and you need to do this through the Wi-Fi in your car, update your computer, they have to go through the exact same process as if you had a physical component break on your car. So this is a necessary part of the process. But let's say that rule wasn't in place, the same thing would happen. You probably would never even notice that there was an issue with your brakes in the first place.
Wow, very interesting. Well, this defect can also trigger during the use of advanced driver assistance systems. What does that tell us about the complexity and vulnerability of modern vehicle electronics?
Yeah, there's a lot to be aware of while you're driving, and a lot of these systems take some of that burden off of you to allow you to drive easier. But in that process, now you have 20, 30 different systems all working at the same time to make sure that you can drive safely down the road. And there's always an opportunity for something to go wrong. But that doesn't mean that something will. There's anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, vectoring control, plus automatic forward braking, side impact sensors, all sorts. There's dozens of systems happening at the same time, and they all activate within an instant. Sensors are sometimes sensitive to activating. So you may have driven in the rain or the snow, and all of a sudden your car is telling you that your forward braking sensor isn't working correctly. Now you can't use your cruise control. There are some things to be concerned about, but generally speaking, these complicated systems keep the manufacturers on their toes as they're trying to keep up in the essentially an arms race of technology to make sure that your car is as safe as possible. And a lot of that's due to regulations. It's also driving up costs for the manufacturers and hence then cost for consumers as well. So nothing to be particularly concerned about. Just understand that your car is now mostly a computer on wheels and less so a car with a computer in it.
Yeah, I follow what you're saying. It's very interesting. Finally, Paul, what steps can everyday drivers take to protect themselves when a recall like this is announced? And how should they respond right now if they own one of these vehicles?
Yeah, absolutely. When you get a recall, sometimes you'll get a letter in the mail or you get an email, depending on how you are connected with the dealership network. I would recommend bringing your vehicle in for the recall as soon as possible if it's a physical recall. If it's an over-the-air, at least call your dealership service department. Ask them if you have that feature, if you don't know that you have the feature for over-the-air updates. Some vehicles don't. It depends on the trim, whether or not you have your Wi-Fi in your car set up. Sometimes you need to be connected to your home Wi-Fi. If you are confused about any of this, call your dealership. They have the answers for you and they'll be able to help you. If you have a recall for any other feature, again, highly recommend you make an appointment with your dealership as soon as possible and understand what the recall is specifically for. That'll all be in the recall notification, or if you have a technical service bulletin, which is the step down, it's non-safety related. Definitely bring it into the dealership as soon as you can and be very aware of what your car is doing and what the potential risks could be. And then hopefully you can make an informed decision on whether or not you should be driving the vehicle in the first place while you're waiting for your appointment.
This is all really great information from you, Paul Fix. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.